Hey, hey, hey. Time for the Out of This World story from rSpace. We all have our secrets, don't we? Today on rSpace, it's all about those hidden truths bubbling to the surface. Whether we're ready for them or not, the masks come off. Up first, a training program involving more than just meal plans and workout routines. My ex cheated on me with her trainer, just reached out after a year of silence. Now her life is falling apart, and she wants me back. Hi everyone. I, 28 male, just had a weird situation pop up, and I honestly don't know how to process it. Maybe getting it off my chest will help. Names are fake, obviously. A little over a year ago, I was in a serious 3-year relationship with Megan, 27 female. Everything seemed great between us, at least from my perspective. We were talking about moving in together and even had casual talks about marriage someday. Around that time, I started getting into fitness and introduced Megan to my personal trainer, Jake, 30 male. Jake was a super charismatic guy, and he and Morgan hit it off, but I didn't think too much of it, just assumed they had a good trainer-client relationship. After a few months of them working out together, Megan started acting more distant. She'd be busy after workouts, not come home until late, and her phone would suddenly always be on Do Not Disturb. I'd ask her about it, but she'd blow me off, saying I was being paranoid. Well, turns out I wasn't paranoid. One night, Megan left her phone on the counter while she was showering, and it lit up with texts from Jake. Let's just say they weren't talking about meal plans or workout routines. I confronted her immediately, and she broke down, admitted she'd been cheating with him for months. She told me she fell in love with Jake, and that it wasn't about me, it was just something she couldn't help. She packed her things and moved in with him within a week. That was the worst time of my life. It felt like my entire world had been ripped apart. I blocked her on everything and focused on picking up the pieces of my life. Therapy, gym, hanging with friends. I slowly started to move on, even though it left a deep scar. Then, out of the blue, a few days ago, she reached out to me on a new number. At first, I wasn't going to reply, but curiosity got the better of me. She started off saying she missed me, that she's sorry for everything, and that she's made a huge mistake. Apparently things with Jake went downhill fast. She found out he was cheating on her. Oh, the irony. They've broken up, and now she's stuck, lonely and miserable. She even admitted she's been thinking about me for months, but was too ashamed to reach out sooner. She said she realizes what she had with me was real, and that she wants to make things right. She claimed she's willing to do anything to prove she's changed, and asked if we could meet up to talk. Here's the thing. Reddit, part of me still has some feelings for her, but another part of me is screaming to block her again and never look back. I don't know if I can ever trust her after what she did, but hearing her sound so broken on the phone stirred something up in me. Maybe it's pity, maybe it's nostalgia, or maybe I'm just an idiot. So here I am, trying to figure out if I should hear her out or tell her to stay in the past where she belongs. What would you guys do? Well, Do Not Disturb, we all know what that means. And of course, she came crawling back after things didn't work out with Jake. Block her. Don't look back. If she cheated on you once, she'll do it again. Move on. Update. Hey everyone. I wasn't planning on doing an update, but after meeting up with my ex, I feel like I need to get this off my chest. If you don't read my first post, the quick version is, my ex, Megan, 27 female, cheated on me a year ago with her trainer, Jake, and left me for him. Now she's back, saying things went south with him and she wants to get back together. So we met up yesterday for coffee. I went in not really knowing what to expect. Part of me wanted closure. Part of me was still curious about what she had to say. We talked for a good couple of hours, and it was a lot to process. Megan started by apologizing. She admitted that leaving me for Jake was the biggest mistake of her life, and she's been paying for it ever since. Without getting into too many details, things between them weren't as perfect as she thought they'd be, and the whole relationship basically crashed and burned. She'd been struggling ever since. Mentally, emotionally, financially. It's been a rough year for her. But here's the part that I wasn't really prepared for. She also brought up a lot of things about our relationship that I never considered. She said that while cheating on me was 100% wrong, she felt like I wasn't the best boyfriend either. According to her, I didn't always make her feel appreciated, and she resented me for that. She mentioned that I was emotionally distant at times, more focused on my work or hobbies, and she felt like she wasn't a priority. She didn't use it as an excuse, but she said that built-up resentment contributed to her being tempted by someone who made her feel wanted. Hearing that hit hard. I didn't see myself that way, but looking back, I can see where I might have dropped the ball. I thought I was being a good partner, but maybe I was blind to some of her needs. She said she spent a lot of time reflecting and realizes she should have talked to me about her feelings instead of stepping out. After we finished talking, she asked if we could try again. She claims she's learned from her mistakes and wants to rebuild what we had. She told me she's willing to take things slow and prove she's different now, but I'm torn. On one hand, I've done a lot of healing in the past year, and I don't know if I can, or should, go back. On the other hand, I can't lie. Hearing her admit her mistakes and explain her side of things made me feel something. Maybe it's closure. Maybe it's sympathy. Maybe it's old feelings creeping back. I honestly don't know. Now I'm just confused. Part of me wants to move on and never look back, but another part of me is questioning whether we both made mistakes that could be fixed now that we've grown. I can't tell if she's just trying to ease her guilt or if there's a real chance at something better. What would you guys do? Is there any point in trying to rebuild, or is it better to leave the past where it belongs? Let's get one quick thought from the community, shall we? A guy. She was manipulating you. If you weren't a great boyfriend, why is she coming back to you now? Tell her, sorry I was such a crap boyfriend to you. I didn't know. But the good news is, you're now free to find someone better. Good luck. Like, if you were so bad she started to resent you, why even want you back? Just because she comes back saying that you weren't the perfect boyfriend doesn't mean anything. If she had a problem with you in the relationship at the time, she should have said something instead of going and cheating on you, OP. Her excuse is weak. Final update. Hey everyone. I wanted to give you all a final update because things have taken a turn that I didn't expect. After my last post, where I told you about Megan reaching out and us having the long conversation, I spent a lot of time thinking about everything. I took a few days to reflect and really tried to figure out what I wanted, what was best for me. Megan continued texting me, trying to keep the conversation going, and she seemed sincere. I could tell she was struggling, and part of me felt bad for her. But every time I thought about giving her another chance, I couldn't shake the memory of how shattered I was when I found out she cheated. The trust was broken, and even though she apologized, I realized the trust might never fully come back. I was leaning towards moving on, but what really sealed it for me was something I didn't expect at all. Just a couple days ago, I got a message from a mutual friend of Megan's and mine. Apparently, Megan had a bit of a breakdown after our meetup. She went back to Jake, trying to make things work with him again, but it turns out Jake had been cheating on her the whole time, pretty much from the moment they got together. The situation escalated, and from what I've heard, it ended with a pretty bad confrontation between Megan and Jake, leading to some serious legal trouble for both of them. Without going into too much detail, Megan's life has basically imploded. She lost her job, she's facing legal issues, and her mental health is in a really dark place right now. I won't lie, hearing all that was a gut punch. It's hard to hear about someone you once loved going through so much pain, but at the same time, I felt like the universe was sending me a message. I realized that Megan wasn't coming back to me because she loved me or truly wanted to fix things. She was desperate and didn't know where else to turn. I would have been her safety net and not her true choice. So I made my decision. I cut off all contact with her. I wished her well, but I told her that we both need to move on. It's the best thing for both of us. As for me, I've been doing great. Since Megan and I broke up, I've been focusing on myself, my career, and building new connections. I'm in a good place now, mentally and emotionally, and I've recently started using the dating apps. Not the greatest, but much better than what was. For the first time in a long time, I feel truly like I can be happy again. Thank you for all the comments, both good and bad, and useful and useless. If there's one thing I've learned from all of this, it's that sometimes the past is best left in the past. People can grow and change, but that doesn't always mean they're meant to be part of your future. Thanks to everyone who gave me advice and support throughout this. It's been a wild ride, but I'm finally at peace. Stay strong, everyone. You deserve better than settling for someone who didn't see your worth the first time around. Megan's literally trying to cling on to anyone that she can because her life fell apart due to her own choices. She did this to herself. What do you think? Have you ever had to make that not so easy choice in leaving the past in the past? Or was it an easy choice after all? Next up, a secret that didn't die. I just found out either my brother or I are an affair child. I got a DNA test done years ago. My brother recently got one done from the same manufacturer. We only share 25% DNA. We also have different ethnicity percentages, which just solidified this to me. No, our tests didn't get mixed up, because the ethnicity from our mother's side is the same. It's just the father's side. Either him or I are an affair baby, but we don't know who. Our father, the one who raised both of us, is dead. We both grieved his loss. Knowing one of us still has a father is insane. He said he wants to confront our mother, but I honestly don't. The man who raised me is my father, whether I'm his or not. I'm just so upset that this is how we had to find out, and our mother willingly both let us do DNA tests knowing that the results would be different. I'm just so confused and hurt. Edit to add, as I said in the comments, my brother plans on confronting my mother tonight. I'm staying neutral because at the end of the day, I honestly could care less who my father was. My mother was my everything. My father wasn't the best, and if I'm an affair child, I don't care if my bio father would even want to know me now that I'm an adult. I kind of do want to know at the end of the day, but it doesn't really change who I am. My brother is handling the news differently, and that's cool. I think it's because he also didn't have a great relationship with our father, and maybe deep down he hopes that's why? I don't know. But yeah, I'll update if anything shocking happens tonight. If not, just Let's check in with some relevant comments. The OP on when told maybe it's best not to seek a possible bio dad. Even if my possible bio dad is a halfway decent guy, it'd just be so awkward. Like I said, I've already been raised and grieved the death of my father, biology or not. Even if I'm an affair child, my father is dead. At most, I feel I'd be able to have a friendship or camaraderie with any other person that would be a parent. It's too late in life for him to be a parental figure to me. If I had a different father and he wanted to be a part of my life, I would never shut him out, but I'm not going to be optimistic. I'm not going to jump on the convoy that it's some man who would want to be my father and is ready to make up for lost time, because there's a big chance it's not even the case. I'm just being realistic, and the realism is that, 1, I may not even be the affair. It could be my brother, and it wouldn't involve me at all. 2, it's some one-night stand my mother had when desperate and alone, and she barely even knew the guy, let alone know how to contact them. And 3, it's someone we may know. He knows about me and when, how I was conceived, and just doesn't want to be involved. Either way, it's not that big of a deal to me. Any outcome will not change my life views or who I was raised to be. The OP on her dad. My dad was actually a pretty good parent to me, even after the divorce. I was a total daddy's girl as a child, and as a teenager, he was the fun Disney dad I wanted for nothing. He cooked me great meals, took me to the beach to find beach glass, took me to do whatever I wanted. Like I said previously, I didn't learn until I was an adult about what a scumbag he was. He wasn't paying child support the entire time, went to jail once because of that, and was in extreme debt. So much that he just left with essentials one day and never came back. He was scamming his friends, his boss, and coworkers, and had a serious gambling addiction. My mother obviously shielded me from most of this because I was a child, but she told me everything she knew once I found out myself, because at the end of the day, he was still being a good father to me. My brother, on the other hand, he's the one who suffered most. My brother is neurodivergent and was abused by my dad as well. My brother was also used as a pawn in my parents' divorce. My father let him live with him, not go to school, and do whatever he wanted. My brother barely graduated high school and is working crappy jobs to support his family because he didn't learn any skills to assist him in getting a job. My father also kicked him out the second he wasn't of use anymore to him, so he has abandonment issues on top of everything else. I don't think the differential treatment was biology related, but more of the fact that my father didn't want any more children. My brother being alive obviously made him very upset, but by the time I was born, he obviously accepted that he is a father again, and he couldn't do anything about it. When told to take a new test, it's already pretty tough to deny since our maternal DNA is exactly the same, just not our paternal. I also don't want to waste more money on this than I want to. At the end of the day, I still love my mother and would never hold anything against her. I'm not even the one who plans on confronting her. My brother is. And, like I said, I don't care. My dad is dead. My mom was my main parent. I'm not going to spend possibly hundreds of dollars for something I don't want to dig on. Maybe you guys have disposable income like that, but I'm a homeowner in my early 20s. I can't afford to drop $100 or more on stuff like this. Sounds like your brother's experience was much different than yours, OP, and that's probably why he feels so strongly about confronting your mom about this. Everyone processes things like this in their own way, and it's okay for him to need different answers than you do. It's okay for you to not want to dig into this further, especially when it sounds like it won't change how you feel about your mom or your sense of self. Update, 9 hours later. Well, the dinner is over. My brother texted me a couple hours ago only saying, it's not what I expected. And he's honestly right. I'll put a TLDR at the bottom if you don't want to hear the full story. This is also secondhand info, so bear with me. So my brother invited my mom over for dinner. They ate their dinner, and then my sister-in-law took my oldest nibblings to the neighbor for a play date. In all seriousness, it was just so my brother could talk to my mother alone. My brother presented our mom with the pictures of our DNA tests. She, according to him, was extremely shocked and distressed. Not the behavior of someone who actively cheated, as he said. Long story short, my brother is the affair baby. I put it in quotes because it was consensual with my father. When my mother was in her early 30s, when my brother was conceived, my father was a traveling salesman. My father has always been an amazing salesman, and he was part of an elite group at his company, and they would go on retreats and whatnot to reward the hardest working guys. According to my mom, these recruits were basically swinger events. If you don't know what swinging is, feel free to look it up yourself. My father basically forced my mother to partake in these events, but she ended up enjoying herself since my father was such a selfish lover. All the men either wore condoms or had vasectomies, but you can lie about both of those at the end of the day. She honestly didn't know that my brother wasn't biologically my father's, and unfortunately, she has no idea who his bio-father could be, because by her own admission, she said there were dozens, and they weren't exactly close with these people. She obviously stopped doing it when she found out she was pregnant, and my father nor his douche friends were attracted to my mother's mom body, so there's no way I was conceived by another. I'm both happy and sad at the same time. Deep down, I kind of wish I was the affair baby, because my brother's struggling a lot more with this than I am, and he's struggling twice as much because he will never know who his real father is. Like I said, I'm probably going to respectfully bow out here, but if he reaches out for support or help, I'm not going to decline. I'm just giving him space to digest everything. I know, weird ending, but I don't know. I don't feel all that different. Maybe it's because I'm not the one in his situation, but I feel very unchanged. Probably because, like I said, my father is dead, biological or not. I've grieved and moved on, and even if I found out he wasn't my father, I still wouldn't have a father. I don't see myself updating any further. We found out what we found out, and like I predicted, this doesn't change how I feel about my mother or my father. My brother has a lot to think about, and at the end of the day, this isn't my circus to share anymore. It's his. Thank you for the suggestions and comments. I appreciate them all. Let's check in with some relevant comments, shall we? First one. That's either an incredibly well thought out lie or an uncomfortable truth. So, well done? The OP replies, like I said in my previous post, my mother isn't a liar. I've never caught her in a lie in my entire life. She's the most honest person I know. I think this was 100% truthful. I have no reason to think otherwise. Also, forcing my mom into swinging because he wanted to have sex with other women is extremely believable, not gonna lie. Someone else chimes in. She's the most honest person I know. She was having sex with dozens of men when your brother was conceived and she's shocked your dad isn't the father, but in your previous post, you said you were told that you were both failed vasectomy babies. So in your own mother's story of how you were both conceived, she would know that it could have been any of the dozens of other men that could have claimed to have vasectomies. The OP replies, I think it's just her honesty bone kicking in, you know? Since she's a very honest person, she expects that honesty in return. I gladly give it to her, but I know the majority of people will not, including men who just want to have quick sex. I think she was genuinely shocked and just being woefully ignorant about the whole situation. And of course I believe her when she says that I was not an affair child. What would she gain from telling my brother he was an affair child but I'm not? It literally wouldn't make sense. I can see why your brother is having such a hard time, especially now that he knows he'll never find out who his biological father is. That's not an easy thing to come to terms with. Obviously, finding out that your dad isn't actually your biological dad that you thought he was would be harder on him since it's not your reality. Swinging situations are already complicated enough, and adding the deception of someone lying about birth control or vasectomies is just a mess. It's a tough pill to swallow, but at least she's being upfront about it now. How did you find out about a family secret? Share it with us in the comments below. And thank you for joining us today on rSpace. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. See you next time.